Forget that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, when you put your heart and soul into your e-commerce store, but it's like crickets chirping. No customers, just you and a bunch of products gathering virtual dust.
Yeah, it's tough. Happens all the time. A lot of folks build a beautiful site, but then
They forget all about actually getting people to see it.
exactly. It's like that build it and they will come thing.
Mm,
Doesn't really work online. You got to be proactive.
totally. And that's what's so great about this podcast we're diving into today, called 5 Powerful Ways to Consistently Drive Traffic to Your E-commerce Store in 2025.
Oh, yeah, I listened to that one.
It's a goldmine of strategies for getting those virtual doors swinging, especially as we head into 2025.
The landscape's always changing, right? Got to
Yeah,
stay ahead of the curve.
absolutely. And first up, they talk about AI-powered personalization.
Hmm.
We've all heard the buzzword, but what's it really about? How do we use AI to give customers those hyper-personalized experiences everyone's talking about?
Well, think about it like this. Imagine a system that's like reading your customer's mind. It analyzes their past purchases, what they're looking at on social media, you name it. Then, bam, it serves up product recommendations that are so spot on. It's like they've got a personal shopper in their pocket.
That's wild. So it's not just people who bought this also bought that. It's way more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah, much deeper. Algorithms like collaborative filtering, that's the real deal. It matches user preferences with others who have similar tastes.
So it can predict what they'll love even before they know it themselves.
Exactly. That's how you boost engagement and sales.
Makes sense. But I gotta ask, how do we use all this data without being creepy? There's got to be a line, right?
For sure. Transparency is key. Be upfront about how you're using the data to personalize things.
Don't hide behind fancy algorithms.
No way. Let people opt in, give them control. When customers understand the value, they're much more likely to be okay with it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Give them the power and be honest about what's happening. Now, what about emails? That's a biggie. How can AI help us move past those generic newsletters that everyone just sends straight to the trash?
Right. No one wants those. So say you've got an online clothing store, right?
Mm-hmm.
AI can group your email list based on what people have bought before. Someone who's always buying workout gear, they get emails about the newest leggings and sports bras. Someone who loves dresses, they get the latest party looks.
So each email feels relevant, not just like a mass email blast.
Exactly. That's what gets people to actually open and click.
I can see that. It's like getting a style recommendation from a friend who actually knows you.
Exactly. And it's not just email. AI can change what people see on the website in real time, like showing specific product categories or articles, based on what they've looked at before.
So the whole online experience becomes tailored just for them.
Yep, that's the future.
All right, AI is going to be huge, no doubt about it. But let's move on to another trend that's only getting bigger. Video marketing.
Oh yeah, video is king.
But how do you make your videos stand out when everyone and their dog is making them these days?
It's not just about being on YouTube or TikTok. It's about making videos that people actually want to watch,
Engaging, right.
Exactly. Think about it. Unboxing videos.
Oh yeah, I love those.
They show off all the cool features and benefits. How-to tutorials.
Super helpful.
You solve a problem your audience actually has. Those types of videos build trust, and they make viewers want to become customers.
So it's less about those polished, corporate-style videos and more about being real and relatable.
You got it. Take lo-fi video editing, for example. It's simple, raw, uses text on the screen.
It's interesting.
It can feel more genuine, especially for younger audiences. It's all about connecting with people, not just bombarding them with flashy visuals.
Kind of like counterintuitive marketing, but it makes sense. People crave authenticity.
For sure.
Now, what about influencer marketing? It's been huge, but how do we make those partnerships genuine and effective? Not just chasing big follower counts, but real impact.
That's the key, right? It's got to be a good fit. You need influencers who actually believe in your brand and whose audience aligns with yours.
Right, it can't just be about numbers.
And sometimes micro-influencers, those with smaller but super engaged communities, they can be way more valuable. It feels like getting advice from a friend, not just another ad.
Much more authentic.
Yeah.
And what about user-generated content? I feel like that's going to be even bigger in the future. Seeing real people using your product, nothing beats that.
Oh, absolutely. Encourage your customers to share their experiences. You can use branded hashtags, run contests, all sorts of things.
Get people involved.
Exactly. Those real-life testimonials are powerful, especially on social media or even right on your website.
So we've got AI, video, and user-generated content. But let's not forget about good old SEO. How do we make sure our online stores are visible when people are using voice search and visual search more and more?
Things are definitely changing there.
Right.
Traditional SEO still matters, but we gotta adapt. Imagine someone says, "Hey Siri, find me a waterproof phone case for hiking."
I do that all the time.
See? It's natural language. We gotta make sure our content matches those longer phrases.
So less about targeting one single keyword, more about understanding what people actually want.
Exactly. And visually, think about optimizing your product images. Google Lens, Pinterest, they're all using images to search.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that.
High-quality photos, descriptive file names, alt text. So when someone searches with an image, your products pop up.
That's amazing.
Uh,
So we're optimizing for all these different ways people are searching now. It's a whole new ballgame.
it is.
But let's switch gears for a sec. Let's talk about expanding into new marketplaces and platforms. Why is that so important?
Well, think about it. You've got your own website, right?
Mm-hmm.
But places like Amazon or Etsy, they've got millions of shoppers already.
That's true.
It's about going where the customers are, meeting them on their turf.
So it's not about abandoning your website. It's about strategically adding more places where people can find you.
Exactly. Cast a wider net, and don't forget about international markets.
Good.
Think Alibaba or Shopify's international features. Reaching a whole new world of customers, that's huge for growth.
I can see that. But isn't managing all those platforms a lot?
It can be, yeah. But
Yeah.
you got to stay consistent. Make sure your brand looks and sounds the same everywhere, whether it's on Amazon or your own site or your social media.
That's a great point. Consistency builds trust.
Absolutely. And speaking of reaching a wider audience, let's talk about the last point for today. Creating and promoting high-value content.
Content marketing, it's a classic. But how do you make your content really stand out in 2025?
Think bigger. Go beyond a basic blog post,
Like what?
Long, in-depth guides that show you're the expert. Webinars and online courses, those are great too.
More interactive.
Yeah, people want valuable information. They want solutions to their problems. You give them that, they'll be interested in what you have to offer, even if it's not a direct sales pitch.
I love that. It's about educating and empowering people, not just selling to them.
Exactly.
And what about user-generated content? How do we get customers to create and share their experiences?
Give them a reason. Run contests. Offer a prize for the best product review, a cool photo, a video.
Get them creative.
Exactly. Or create a hashtag challenge.
That's so smart. You get amazing content, and it gets people talking about your brand.
Exactly. It's a win-win. And it shows potential customers that you value what they think and experience.
It's like building a community around your product.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been given a treasure map to e-commerce success.
Well,
But there's so much to unpack here. We're just scratching the surface. AI-powered personalization, authentic video content, SEO for voice and visual search, expanding into new markets, and creating super valuable content.
that's a lot.
It's a lot to digest. But we're just getting started. Stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll really get into the nitty-gritty of how to apply all these strategies to your business.
All right, welcome back. I hope everyone's had a chance to catch their breath after all that amazing info in part 1. We dove deep into some serious strategies there. AI, video marketing, SEO, new marketplaces, and of course, creating content that really delivers value.
Whew. A lot to take in.
It is, but I think it's worth stepping back for a second.
Yeah.
To look at the bigger picture. What's the common thread here? What ties all those strategies together? It's not just about using a bunch of random task picks.
You hit it right on the head. It's all about the human element.
The human element.
Yeah, like in the past, e-commerce was all about, buy, sell, done. But now, it's
Right.
got to be more than that. It's about building real connections with your customers, making them feel like they matter.
I love that. Building trust, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And making the whole online shopping experience feel personal, like you actually care. It's like inviting someone into your store, not just shouting at them from across the street.
Haha. That's a good way to put it.
But how do you actually do that online? How do you create that human connection in the digital world?
Well, you got to really understand your audience.
Understand them.
Yeah, like who are they? What are they struggling with? What do they want? What are their goals?
So it's not just about knowing their age or where they live.
Right. It's deeper than that. It's about psychographics, their values, their lifestyles, what makes them tick.
So you can tailor your marketing to really speak to them.
Exactly. But it goes even further. It's about empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah, putting yourself in their shoes, seeing things from their perspective.
So you can understand how your product can actually make their lives better.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. But let's talk about how to put all this into action. What are some real steps we can take?
Start with data.
Data.
Yeah, Google Analytics. Track your website traffic, see what pages are doing well.
See how people are actually using your website.
Exactly. And look at your social media analytics too. What's resonating? What's falling flat? And don't forget about good old customer surveys.
Ask people directly.
Yep. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best.
Okay, so we're using data to make informed decisions,
Mm.
not just guessing.
Right. Now, what about AI? I know a lot of people think it's this big, expensive thing, but can small businesses really use it for personalization?
That's a good question.
There are some really affordable AI tools out there for segmenting your email list, recommending products, even personalizing your website content. Start small, experiment, and scale up as you see results.
That's encouraging. You don't need to be a tech whiz to use AI.
Nope, not at all. Now, let's talk video marketing for a minute. We touched on authenticity earlier, but
Yeah.
what are some practical tips for making videos that people actually connect with?
Right, let's get specific.
Think about the IKEA effect. Ever notice how people love things they've built themselves?
Oh yeah, it's like they're more attached to it.
Exactly. So involve your audience.
Involve them.
Yeah, like make a video series showing them how to customize your product or use it in cool, creative ways, or encourage them to share their own DIY projects using your products.
Turn viewers into participants.
Exactly, and it builds a sense of community around your brand.
I love that. And what about influencer partnerships? How do we find the right influencers who really align with our brand, not just someone with a ton of followers?
Look, those mega influencers, they can be great. But sometimes micro-influencers, the ones with smaller but very engaged audiences, they can be a goldmine.
They're more relatable, right?
Exactly. Their recommendations feel more authentic, less like an ad, more like advice from a friend.
That makes sense. And it's more affordable too, probably. Now let's get back to SEO. We talked about voice and visual search, but how do we actually make our websites rank well for those things?
It's all about structure. Think about how people talk.
Natural language, right?
Yeah. Yep. So structure your content to answer those questions clearly and concisely. Like, someone might ask their smart speaker, what are the benefits of organic cotton clothing? You got to have that answer ready front and center.
So it's anticipating those voice searches and having the answers they're looking for.
Right. And for those high-quality product images we talked about, make sure they've got descriptive file names and alt text. That helps them get picked up by visual search engines.
It's like giving them a boost.
Exactly. The more information you give those search engines, the better they'll understand what your images are about.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, expanding into new marketplaces, it sounds a little scary, to be honest. What advice would you give to someone who's hesitant to take that leap?
Don't jump in blindly. Do your research first.
Research.
Yeah, see which marketplaces really fit your products and your target audience. Don't try to be everywhere at once. Pick a few that make sense and start there.
Start small, test the waters.
Exactly. And then as you get more comfortable, you can expand. But don't spread yourself too thin.
That's good advice. But what about the logistics? Managing all those different platforms, keeping track of inventory?
It can be a lot, I know. But there are tools out there that can help.
Like what?
Multi-channel listing software, for example. You can manage your inventory, your orders, your customer communication all in one place.
So you don't have to be jumping between a million different dashboards all day.
Exactly. Let technology do some of the heavy lifting for you.
That's a relief. Before we wrap up this part, I want to circle back to the human element.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
We talked about a lot of technical things, AI and data and all that, but how do we make sure we're not losing that personal touch?
It's simple, really.
Yeah,
Remember that there's a real person on the other side of every transaction.
not just a number.
Right. Make sure your customer service is awesome. Respond to questions quickly.
Personalize your responses.
Yes, and go above and beyond to solve problems.
Make them feel valued.
Exactly. It's those little things that make a big difference.
This has been so helpful. I feel like we've covered a ton of ground already, but we're not done yet. And we're back. Part 3 of our deep dive. Can you believe how much we've already covered about e-commerce traffic in 2025?
It's a lot, right? From AI and video marketing to SEO and those new marketplaces popping up everywhere.
And of course, we can't forget the most important part,
Yeah.
connecting with your customers, building those relationships.
Right, making people feel like they're part of something, not just another transaction.
Exactly. But now comes the tricky part. Putting all these pieces together. It can't just be about picking one strategy and hoping for the best, can it?
It's like, imagine building a house. You need the foundation, the walls, the roof, and all the little details that make it feel like home. They all got to work together.
I like that analogy. So how do we do that with our e-commerce strategy? How do we make sure all these tactics are working together, not against each other?
Okay, so let's take AI personalization in video, for example.
Yeah.
You can use AI to figure out what videos to show each person based on what they've been looking at. Like, someone's browsing running shoes on your site. Bam! Show them a video about the latest running shoe technology.
Oh, I see. It's like a super targeted video recommendation tailored just for them.
You got it. And remember those in-depth guides we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
You can turn those into videos too. Tutorials, webinars, little snippets you can share everywhere, website, social media, even those new marketplaces.
So it's all about getting the most mileage out of your content, right?
Yeah.
Reaching people wherever they are.
Exactly. And don't forget, your brand should look and sound the same everywhere.
Consistent, right.
Yep. That builds trust with your audience.
Right, it's all starting to come together. But I have to admit, implementing all of this can feel a little overwhelming, especially if you're a smaller business.
I hear you. You don't have to do it all at once, you know?
That's good to hear.
Prioritize. Figure out which strategies align with your goals and your audience. Focus on those first.
Start with the most important things and build from there.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection.
I like that. And celebrating those wins along the way, no matter how small they seem.
Absolutely. And always remember, things change fast online. What works today might not work tomorrow.
So stay flexible.
Yeah. Be curious, keep learning, and don't be afraid to try new things.
This brings us back to something we've talked about a lot, building those human connections.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in all the tech stuff, but in the end, it's about people, right?
It is. Always remember there's a real person behind every click, every purchase.
Someone with their own needs and wants and hopes and dreams.
Exactly. And the more you can understand those things, the better you'll be able to connect with them and build a loyal following.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I
Yes.
want to leave our listeners with this thought. The future of e-commerce, it's not just about algorithms and sales funnels. It's about building genuine connections with your customers. It's about creating a community where people feel valued and understood and excited to be a part of your journey.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us.
We hope you've learned a ton and feel ready to tackle those e-commerce challenges head on. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep those human connections at the heart of everything you do.